All right, let's talk about one of the all-time classics, Carcassonne. Today we're going to learn how to play this awesome tile laying game from start to finish. So if you've ever seen this yellow box and wondered what it's all about, you are in exactly the right place. This is your guide to your very first game.
So the whole idea is that we're in the south of France, near this incredible real-life fortified city. And our job as players is to build out the landscape around it, placing tiles, developing the area, and claiming parts of it for ourselves.
Here's how we're going to break it down. First, we'll cover the main goal of the game. Then, we'll get into the super quick setup. After that, the core of it all, how a turn actually works. Then we'll dive into how you score points, and finally, how you win the game. Let's get to it.
Okay, first things first. Before we lay a single tile, what are we actually trying to do here? What's the point of it all?
It's honestly as simple as this. You want to have the most points by the end of the game. And you're going to get those points by drawing and placing tiles to build out this medieval world. And then, and this is the fun part, placing your little wooden followers, which the world affectionately calls meeples, to claim roads, cities, and monasteries for yourself.
All right, let's get this thing on the table. One of the best things about Carcassonne is that the setup is incredibly fast. You can get playing in just a couple of minutes.
So here's what you need. You're going to grab all the land tiles, the scoreboard, and the meeples. Now here's a little pro tip for your very first game. Find the 12 tiles that have a river on them and those 5 special abbot meeples, and just put them back in the box for now. You can totally add them in later, but for your first playthrough, let's keep things nice and simple.
Ready? This is going to be quick. First, find the one special tile that has a darker back than the others. That's your start tile. Put that right in the middle of the table. Then shuffle all the other tiles really well and make a few face-down stacks that everyone can reach. Pop the scoreboard off to the side, and finally, each player picks a color, takes 7 meeples for their supply, and your 8th and final meeple goes on the 0 space of the scoreboard. And that's it. You're literally ready to play.
So, we're all set up? Now let's get into the real heart of the game, what you actually do on your turn. It's a really simple and satisfying rhythm.
Every single turn in this game breaks down into these 3 phases, and always in this order. 1. You place a tile. That part's mandatory. 2. You can place a meeple. That's optional. And 3. You score anything your tile just finished. Let's dig into each of these.
Okay, step 1 is the only thing you absolutely have to do. You draw one tile from one of the stacks. Then you have to place it adjacent to a tile that's already out there. The only rule is that it has to make sense visually. A road has to connect to another road. A city wall has to continue a city wall. You can't just have a road suddenly ending in the middle of the city. You're all building a map together, so it has to line up.
After your tile is down, you move to step 2, which is totally optional. You can choose to take one and only one meeple from your personal supply and place it on the tile you just put down. You can place it on a road segment, or in a piece of a city, or on a monastery. The big, crucial rule here is that you cannot place your meeple on a road or a city that another player has already claimed.
And finally, step 3. You just look at what you did. Did placing your tile just finish something? Did you connect the last piece of a road? Did you put the final wall on a city? If so, it's time to score points for that feature, right then and there.
So let's use a road as an easy first example. A road is complete when both of its ends are closed off, maybe by a village, a city, or it just loops back on itself. When that happens, you get 1 point for every single tile that makes up that road. And here's the best part. As soon as you score, you take your meeple back. He goes back into your supply so you can use him again later. Getting your meeples back is a huge part of the strategy.
Okay, so roads are simple enough. 1 point per tile. But what about the other stuff you can build? Let's take a closer look at how cities and monasteries are going to earn you those precious victory points.
Now cities. This is where the big points are hiding. A city is finished once it's totally enclosed by a continuous wall. And the payoff is great. You score 2 points for every tile that makes up the city. Plus, you get a bonus 2 points for every little shield symbol or coat of arms that's printed inside the city walls. So yeah, finishing cities is a very, very good idea.
Monasteries are their own little mini-game. A monastery is only complete when it's completely surrounded on all 8 sides by other tiles. You're basically making a 3x3 square of tiles with the monastery right in the middle. When you pull that off, you score a nice flat 9 points. That's 1 for the monastery tile itself and 1 for each of the 8 tiles around it.
So here's a really handy little cheat sheet. This breaks it all down for you. You can see the feature, what it means for it to be completed, and exactly what it scores during the game.
It's a super useful reference for your first few plays.
Okay, so this is a really important question because it adds a whole layer of awesome interactive strategy. This is definitely going to happen, so how do we deal with it?
Well, remember that rule where you can't place a meeple in an already claimed feature? That's true, but there's a sneaky way around it. You can't place into your opponent's city, but you can start your own little city nearby, and then, on a later turn, play a tile that connects the two separate parts into one giant city. And just like that, you're now sharing it. So when that shared city finally gets completed, who gets the points? It all comes down to majority. Whoever has the most meeples in that feature gets all the points. The other player gets nothing. Now, if it's a tie for the most meeples, well then, everybody who is tied gets the full points. This leads to some really clever, sometimes aggressive tile placements. It's great.
So you'll be placing tiles and meeples, scoring features, and getting your little guys back until the very last tile is drawn and placed. At that moment, the game ends immediately. But wait, there's one more round of scoring to do.
At the end of the game, any meeples still left on the board score points for whatever incomplete thing they're on. Now, for roads and monasteries, you just score 1 point for each tile, same as if they were finished. But look at the big difference for cities. An incomplete city is only worth half points, just 1 point per tile and 1 per shield. It really pays to finish your cities before the game ends.
After you add up all those end-of-game points, it's finally over. You just look at the scoreboard, and the player whose meeple has traveled the farthest around the track is the master of Carcassonne and the winner of the game.
And there you have it. That is everything you need to know to play your first game of Carcassonne. From laying that first tile all the way to the final count, you're ready to go. So the only question left is, are you ready to build your domain and claim your victory?